Just wanted to go over a few things that are going to be important about this little section about the growth requirements of bacteria. Kind of say why we're going over it, when we're going at this point in time that we're going over it, why it's important, and also why it's going to be important in the future. What we're talking about in this section are things like the oxygen requirements, temperature, pH requirements, also the water requirements of bacteria, and lots of terms that go along with that. So we're learning the terminology. So you're going to be learning terms like sometimes an obligate aerobe, which means that that organism absolutely requires oxygen in order to survive. You're going to be using terms like anaerobic. That means no oxygen. So anytime you encounter things that are obligate, it means that they have to do it. So like I said, we're going to talk about oxygen, pH, temperature, and also water requirements. When we talk about water requirements, we do talk about the term water activity. What's important about the water activity is it is not the total amount of water that's present, it's the total amount of water that's available for reactions. So if you think about something like ice, ice is just water. It's water that's frozen. It's just water that's there. But that water is not all available for chemical reactions. It's not available because it's tied up in the ice structure. So it's bound. You can't use it. So that's what we talk about when we talk about water activity. Water activity is the amount of water that's available for chemical reactions, the amount that's available for use. It's not the total amount of water present, but it's the total amount of water that's available for chemical reactions. So again, we're going to go over these terms. You're going to go over these in your readings, and then you're going to encounter them when you go on to read about the individual bacteria and viruses and eukaryotes that are coming up in the next little section. So you're going to need to be familiar with these terms before you embark on that. But then when we get to Unit 2, we're going to talk about how we can use all of these growth conditions that organisms require, how we can use those against them in order to control their growth. So if we know what something needs in order to grow, then we can just change that to keep them from growing. So we can, if something is an obligate aerobe, we can take its oxygen away from it to keep it from growing. So you could vacuum package a food to keep obligate aerobes from growing in that food. So and we're going to do this with all the concepts. We're going to talk about different ways that they can all be handled with preservation, with food preservation. So for temperature, you can refrigerate, you can cook. With water activity, you can freeze, you can add solutes that can help bind water. With pH, you can ferment the food, you can add acids, things like your citric acids can be added. So and again with oxygen, I mentioned that you can vacuum package a food. So we're going to talk about in Unit 2 ways that we can use all of these growth conditions in order to control the growth of the bacteria. So but right now, we're just looking at what they require in order to grow. We're going to look at their optimum conditions. That means that their most ideal conditions, and also at their ranges. And those are things you're going to encounter when you start reading about the individual organisms in the very next section. But right now, you're going to encounter all these terms. So grab a hold of them, get familiar with them, kind of understand the concept of them, understand why it's important. And don't knock it out of your brain after Unit 1, because you're going to need it again in Unit 2. So you're going to need to know all these terms in Unit 2, and also you'll need them for the final as well, of course. So you know, just hang on to them and make sure that you grab the concept. It's a short unit, or it's not a unit, it's a short module within the unit. But just make sure that you understand the concepts, and they are important, and you are going to use them again. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks.